Welcome to the 4-Leaf for Life Reiki podcast.
I remember in my level 2 courses, there was a classmate she had her hands on me, and then our teacher went behind her and put her hands on my classmate. And when she did that, I just felt this whoosh, very, very strong wave of, I want to call it like love, pink joy, like the vibration of joy and peace and the most wonderful feeling that we all want to have. And it was not a subtle thing. It was the first time I really felt it so strongly. It was like magic, and I wanted to experience it again. I have not felt that since, but just knowing that it's possible really just delighted me, Usually it's a very subtle vibration that I experience, whether I'm receiving or giving, but that was just so powerful, so powerful. I had a mystical experience when I was receiving the attunement for level 1. I remember the sun had just set, and my teacher asked me to sit in a chair, and she dimmed the light, so it was quite dark. And she asked me to close my eyes. This was in New Mexico. It was the desert, rarely rains. But as I closed my eyes, I went into a kind of light hypnosis, and I started hearing rain falling. It was rain on paper. So it was a very distinct pitter patter, pitter patter. It was like, tick, 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 right? You can hear it. Can you hear that in your minds?
Yeah, I can feel it.
Okay, so it was rain falling on paper, and I was like very curious because I knew logically it was not raining outside. Then I became aware of a man standing next to me holding an old-fashioned umbrella, a Japanese umbrella. And I grew up in Japan, so I, was very familiar with this kind of traditional umbrella. It's paper, but it has a kind of coating on it that makes it kind of waterproof. And so that's where the rain on paper was coming from. I realized, oh, he's holding this paper umbrella over us. I felt very relaxed. I remember moving my head away from the umbrella and just opening my mouth to try to catch some of the raindrops. Because I love rain. I'm a Pisces, and I'm always drawn to water, any bodies of water, lakes, oceans, baths, rain. So I was very calm, and I was aware of this person next to me. Then he spoke to me. He said, "Ishoni arukimashou," which means let's walk together. I was mesmerized. I couldn't see his face, or I wasn't really aware of his face, but I could see his feet. I could see his old-fashioned geta, the wooden shoes, and his little socks that go with the geta. So I could see his feet walking, and we were walking together in the rain. But when the attunement was completed and the lights were turned on, I saw the picture of Sui on a table, and I said, "Oh, that was him." And I felt very connected to him. He had this energetic signature, and I knew him now. Wow. I knew his signature. Like, okay, who he is. And then it gets weirder, Don.
Oh, I love it. Tell us more.
Yeah. When I went home that night, I remember my younger son was there, and he was doing his homework. And I had one Reiki book in my bedroom. I started trying to find out more about Dr. Usui. And then I think maybe I started Googling, is there any connection between umbrellas, rain, Reiki? What I found blew my mind. Have these wavy lines that represent ki, which is the life force energy, as mist. And the top is an umbrella shape, And the box shapes are mouths of people upturned and open in awe as the mist, the key, is transformed into rain. And the T shape with the two inverted V is shaman. Put together the symbol for Reiki, which is on Dr. Sui's grave, as we speak. On his grave, it basically says shaman who makes rain. And the mist is the life force energy in its potential unrealized state. And the rain is brought forth by one who can see spirit and allow the miracle to happen. And when I read that, I freaked out. I just couldn't even believe my eyes. And I remember running over to my son and telling him the story, which of course made no sense to him, but I had to tell someone. I was so excited. And I remember the next few days, I felt the presence of Usui-san next to me and kind of narrating my life with me, this running commentary in Japanese. Like he was seeing my life and just kind of amused by it. And isn't that funny? And, you know, why don't you try this? And why is he doing that? And it was a really sweet and kind of hilarious experience of having this presence with me that I recognized as him. And it lasted a few days. And then I haven't really felt him very strongly since. These days, I do more birth chart readings than I do Reiki. I think that's one of the things I would like to do is get back into that vibration, because as the world becomes more chaotic, it's one of the tools that I have that I know, a reliable tool to ground myself. And that's one of the reasons I feel so grateful to have this connection with you, because I instantly feel connected back to that, the Reiki vibration. When I see you, when I hear your voice, it's just like, oh, yeah, there's that.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. It's the rain, it's the water falling. It's calm, it's easy, it's soft. You know, it's always kind on the inside if you can access that. And I want to cultivate that.
That is such an amazing story and such a beautiful, really, description of Reiki and how you connect to it and what it means to you. That was such a mystical experience that I think many people might think that they cannot access or they cannot to tune into. And I think for me, we had been talking about what is the first mystical experience or experience of the divine, that energy that we know now as Reiki, that we each may have felt. And to be honest, I never really had that connection. I have one memory of when I'm an adult and I'm working in a job that I really don't enjoy at all. And I was really in my head walking to my job, and it was gray and overcast. And I remember looking up and the clouds just parted and the sun, it was like this beam of light of God shone down on me. And you reminded me when you talked about that joy, I think that was the first time that I experienced that sudden joy out of nowhere. I knew that it wasn't what I was feeling in my life at that moment. And so it felt very profound and incredible. And I knew that it was something. And I never felt that again for many, many, many years either. I consider myself to be very ordinary. Like I never had any kind of psychic connections or, not developed that I was aware of until my son got really sick. And leading up to his death, I started to notice numbers and different things. And really it was the catalyst of his death that led me onto this mystical, trying to connect with the ineffable, needing to know that there was something more that he was safe, that there was some way of accessing that spiritual, soulful part of him that I just had to believe still existed. By cultivating and by searching and by opening, I've been able to, over the last 10 years, cultivate this ability. I know that I wasn't special. I wasn't a gifted psychic. I didn't even really have any idea about any of that. What I'm trying to say in a long-winded fashion is that I feel like I represent the fact that anyone, any one of us, can access these type of mystical experiences on the path when we become committed to connecting with that energy, with nurturing that connection, with building that relationship and trust. Because I really see it as a relationship just like any other. And at first, I didn't trust it. I tried so hard to see things and I didn't see them. I didn't think I could be psychic or intuitive or connected. But over time, because I had such a huge motivation to experience my child in spirit, that I just kept putting myself into these experiences, these opportunities, and just really tried to be really open and not have judgments or expectations. And then I was able to receive. For anyone listening to these stories, I would just like to put that out there.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. You became kind of a seeker, right? Because you were in so much pain. Mm-hmm. And that is often what leads people to the divine, is overwhelming suffering, overwhelming pain. I would propose, because I study Vedic birth charts, that you all along were going to have these awakening experiences to the divine. At that particular time, you were ripe for that, and it just unfolded exactly in perfect timing. Because you can see in a birth chart people who are going to have these mystical experiences. Do you now feel that Noah is with you all the time? He's everywhere. You feel connected, or does it kind of come and go?
It's interesting. It's been almost 10 years since he died. And I've had many mystical experiences with four-leaf clover, with clouds, with messages from him and from other people from him. Initially, it was excruciatingly painful, but also I was driven. I would say I was driven to experience something every day, like every day. I needed to know when I woke up. It's much different now, as over time I established this unwavering knowing that he's there. Now, I know that he's here with me. I just know it. And often it's really in times of challenge that I will say, you know what, buddy? I really need something. I'm having a tough time. Can you just let me know? Give me a little sign.
How sweet.
And it doesn't happen right away often. Usually it unfolds over the next week or even longer. I love the fact that you said that it's very subtle. The energy is very subtle, because it is. It's very subtle and often overlooked. And so I do believe that there are messages around constantly for everybody. We might be so unfocused in the sense that we're focused on all of the external things and the issues in our lives. Of course, it's hard to be here on earth and to live this life for many, many reasons. But if we could just stop, and this is, what meditation is about, this is what prayer is about, this is what introspection, reflection, journaling. If I can just stop and get quiet, and really for me, it's like bringing my breath down into my lower belly and connecting with that stable earth energy and just clearing everything out then I can go up to the intuitive and just like open up to, I'm not going to try and lead. Like, I need this, I need that. I do need this and that, but I'm going to let it go and just see what happens. And then it's almost like it just focuses above and below in my heart. If I can just rest in my heart and just breathe and just try to be quiet and just kind of drift, then usually something comes. And it's not necessarily Kodak moments of right visual streams, because for me that doesn't really happen. Like, that's not how I perceive it. It's really a full body. Like, I may feel a feeling, there may be a part of my body that has a sensation, or I might hear something, I might see a little symbol, and then it's the story. For me, it's the story of all that's connected to that unfolds. And I know when I start to have that feeling, that emotion, that poignancy, that joy, that's it, that I'm onto something, and it's really big. What I found is if I write about it and just allow myself to really explore about it, it becomes something really big. So I have this very subtle, quiet message. But then when I really reflect on it, when I trust it, when I open to the fullness of it, I get that huge rush of energy. It moves me. It moves me in a way that I know that it's something extraordinary.
I was just seeing, because I see in pictures, I was seeing a thread, a cotton brightly colored thread that you grasp and you pull. And as you pull, it leads you to this huge tapestry that is just beautiful and helps you make sense of it in the context, in a larger context. What I hear you say, Don, is you used to be desperately seeking, and now it's just kind of a quiet, calm knowing. But once in a while, you really want some evidence just to give you that spark of hope and connection again.
I really love the way that you can clarify. You can bring this clarity to the whole picture in a very simple way too, but that is very profound. I really love that about you.
Oh, thank you.
You talked about this energetic signature that Isui Sensei had for you. I wonder, are there other figures or people that you feel that there's a certain energetic signature as well that you connect with? Is that part of the way that your gifts work?
Every person that I've encountered, every animal that I've gotten to know, and every deity that I have some kind of connection with has a signature. And yeah, you just know, just like your spouse, you know the signature, you would know him in the dark, you would know him as a ghost, right? Yeah, it's just very, very clear.
I find that fascinating because as you're speaking, I'm like, well, of course, right? Of course, that's true. And yet from my own personal experience, I wouldn't say that that's how I relate or work. So it's really fascinating for me that it's just crystal clear for you. This frequency is all about this.
It's hard to put into words, but I would love to just be you for a day and experience, well, how do you experience the world? How do you perceive people? And
I know. Wouldn't that be amazing?
Because we all live in our own little universes, and we think everyone's seeing things the same way, but each one of us is seeing in a very unique way.
That is so fascinating. I'm just like, yes, I want to explore more of that. So do you ever consciously work with those streams of energy that are very focused? Because I do believe that is how I work, but I work in a more symbolic way. To me, I see symbols and I know that they represent things, but I really described it as a certain frequency, which is basically what it is. But it's the way that you're working with it and the way that it is working with you, I guess.
Well, how do you know that Noah is present? Is it through the translation of the clover, or do you feel him like, oh, he's here?
Often I do things and I'm like, I don't even know how I do them.
Yeah.
When I receive a message, it's also entwined with, I might say, well, I see, but really I didn't see it. I felt it. I had a story about it. I might have seen a little gray symbol about it. But as I relate to and expand and usually talk about it, because for me, if I talk, then I can actually create. It's like creation helps me through sound. This is interesting. It's like through sound and the expression of that symbol, then I can realize what the vibrational frequency means. Often it is a sign for me, like the clover, and I just get this, you get this jolt of energy. It's Noah. I know it's Noah. I know it's you. Actually, that leads me to the way that my vision works. I've thought about this. I don't think that I so much see the visions in my third eye as a clairvoyant. I actually see patterns in nature form a very clear physical pattern. So, for example, in the clouds, I might see a boy and his dog. And it's there. I see it. Sometimes I could look on my carpet and I could ask a question and I'd say, I want a yes or a no. And I'd look around and then I'd see a yes or a no, very physical in the actual patterns of the carpet or the brick, the masonry. Right? So I think that what that tells me is that we have these ideas of what it looks like, pardon the pun, to be clairvoyant or to be clairaudient or to be connected with the ineffable. When in fact, I think that it can manifest in so many really unique ways. And so I'm curious, when you feel that vibrational frequency, you said you were quite clairvoyant. Is there also an image that comes?
I don't think I'm clairvoyant.
Okay.
I really don't. I think I'm a highly sensitive person, but I don't think of myself as psychic. It's all one thing, right? It's everything is consciousness, which is divinity. So we are all sparks of God. We are all expressions, and there are many, many characters. In India, we have hundreds of gods representing the one, and each has a distinct personality, desires, likes and dislikes. And I've come to recognize certain energies of those deities. Yeah, again, just like with the people we know. But it's all actually just source energy expressing in all these different like flowers. The message I'm getting from you is you never know what might become a messenger in your day, and to stay open. And my friend Paula she says, each day I'm anticipating a pleasant surprise. So if we say that every day, then we're more maybe open and awake to it when it arrives.
I love that. I'm going to try that. I also would love to, in the future, talk about how you weave in the Vedic astrology, because that's something I've also experienced with you, and it's fascinating as well. Maybe we'll be able to talk about how you dip in the energy in different ways, because they're all different lenses and perspectives for viewing and helping others on their path.
Yeah, when I had my first Vedic reading, it was so reassuring and validating. I was like, oh, somebody finally sees me. it's a powerful tool.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, Christina. It's always such a privilege and a pleasure to chat with you, to hear your perspectives. So you can reach Christina at her website.
I offer Vedic birth chart readings to understand who you are, why you're here, and timing when things unfold.
And where can they find you?
holywildwonder.com.
And I will put that in the description below as well, so that you can get in touch with Christina if you like. And
Thank you.
having received one of her readings, it's really fascinating and interesting. I don't think anyone would be disappointed. So if you're curious about it, reach out to Christina.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. And you as well.